Hi, this is Carol Mixon from Skill Check. And today I'd like to talk about the danger zone with problem tenants. And I'll tell you, over the years, it sort of keeps it exciting and life exciting in self storage, but sometimes it really actually can be dangerous and problematic, not only for the people that work there, but also the tenants. So, your job as a manager is to keep the store and the property safe and secure. And I know that's not always easy. And we do provide, generally speaking, with cameras, video that you can look at, a DVR that records thing. But it is the manager's job to know what's going on with the property. This means that you need to know who's on the property and what they're doing. And that's not always easy, especially when you have a really big store. It makes it very difficult to know all of those things. And that's why I really like to staff my stores up to where, a person can be in the office and then there's another person outside. You can switch back and forth. But I do think it's for me, it was always, when I got a chance to get out on the property, it's like, another doing something different, a little breath of fresh air. So it's really good. But remember, other customers may be afraid to say something. They may be out there and seeing some weird stuff and they're afraid of people. And if they tell you something, heed that advice, go out and look and find out what's going on because you need to be able to control what's happening at the property. And the exploitation of the storage space, and this is what customers do that, like these two ladies here, they're sort of living, visiting their stuff. And they probably do it every single day. And what do you do when these tenants become a problem and other people are saying that, oh, they're just hanging out in their space or they're in there smoking or they just peed on my door. I've had that. Oh my gosh, was doing an audit one day and I came around the golf cart and the guy's peeing on the door next to his space. I'm like, sir, you can't do that. There's a bathroom up front. He goes, oh, what's your problem? I'm like, I have no problem. You need to use a restroom, not your neighbor's door. Sometimes the weirdest people must rent storage. I don't know it's just all strange, isn't it? But remember, if you have a problem tenant, one of the things that you can do is contact your owner or supervisor and let them know, we may be having some problems with these people. I've warned them, that they can't just hang out at their storage space. These two look like neighbors because look at both of the units are open. So maybe one's a neighbor and they know each other. Now they're friends, just hanging out. But you need to have a good rental agreement. Have a violation of an agreement letter saved so you can use it continually and quote provisions from the agreement. And I'll give you some examples of that in just a few minutes. You want to really work at protecting your company's reputation because it's so important when you have a good reputation for keeping order in your property. It's much better than if you just let things willy-nilly happen. And what happens with that is you get more and more and more of those people telling their friends, oh yeah, we can actually live there. They don't care. No one says anything. And then you end up with 30 or 35 people, in there doing trying to sleep in it or stay in it or work out of it, whatever the case may be. But so you have to really be diligent about walking the property. You need to listen and check out tenant complaints. If you have other tenants saying, hey, this guy, is doing this down there. There's some creepy guy down there. And it's even more important to do when you have bad actors on the property. Don't forget, you've got to get out there on the property and know that this person's bad and that you need to do something about them. So one of the things you need to do is have facility rules. Owners have the right to establish or change hours of operation or tenant access, and the occupant agrees to such rules. When they sign the rental agreement, we can make those changes into the way that they use a storage property. And that means the hours of operation, again, that they may be posted, but you can change someone's access hours if they're problematic or if they're causing problems or not following the rules of the store. And your current rules will be posted in the rental office. I think you should have rules so the customers know what you can and can't do. There are so many weird things. And I find it so interesting that I looked up on YouTube and I noticed years ago there was this one guy living out of his unit, and he was so proud of it. But he's got 11 million views. That's 11 million people thinking this is okay. That's his top picture. And the guy goes through on the. You can check it out on YouTube, but it's pretty interesting. But I'll tell you, I would have noticed this. He said that he put a magnet on the lock so the managers wouldn't see that it was not, not closed or locked. I'm telling you, I would have caught it because there was an electrical cord going outside the space up into an electrical outlet in the hallway, and that would have triggered me. First off, I would have unplugged that thing. And the second thing, I would have given him a letter saying that, you're not using the utilities, and then I would have figured out that they're actually trying to live there. And he lived there for months. I'm not sure. It was a major chain of self-storage that allowed this to happen. So, and this other guy comes along and he's got 43,000 views. I'm just amazed that people think that this is, somewhere you could live or would want to live. So you realize that you have the right to establish and change the hours of operation for a tenant's access. You also, the occupant agrees to such rules that make part of this agreement and that they have to follow them. They have to follow the rules. And that means you can change the hours of operations or the times that they can access the space. And again, I would, with these people, as soon as we shut the office down, everything would be shut down completely. And I've had in the past where people have tried to use electricity and we just turned off electricity totally in the building. They didn't like that either. So, but remember, you can post your rules in the office also, just if you're worried about that. And again, I want you to make sure that in your agreement, you have some good information. So when you have your rental agreement, you want to make sure that you just have the one person on the lease agreement. And remember, you're not making any oral agreements. Most rental agreements say there are no oral agreements. So you're not saying, it's okay if you live there, or it's okay if you're there just during the day. Those kind of things can cause problems. Now, this poor gentleman, I can't tell you how many times doing audits and different things in storage that I've come around a corner and seen something like this. This is disturbing to other people, even though I'm going to say this guy seems pretty harmless here. But I noticed, and he is reading his Bible. I find that I'm pretty sure that's a Bible there. But look, well, and he does love shoes. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pairs of shoes, and they're all nicely displayed too. Yes. It's just weirdness. And when other customers come to get into the space near his, they may feel uncomfortable that first off, he may be watching what they're getting in and out or what he has in space. And it doesn't mean that he's a bad character, but he's not using self-storage for what it was meant to be used for. And he shouldn't be allowed to stay there. And again, the use of the storage space is really important. They're just to get things in and out, and no putting hazardous type of things in there either. And sometimes we can see that. You can see he's got some kind of bleach down there, so he must be doing some sort of cleaning there while he's there. And other things, I noticed another customer when I was doing an audit, and they had all of this charging stuff happening. And not only that, there was all sorts of things down the hallway. I couldn't find that picture, but they not only did they have this going, and they're charging their phone and their vaping stuff. So I'm assuming they might have been vaping in the hallway too, but there was stuff strewn all over the hallway. And as I was doing my audit, I'm just thinking, what? No. And it took them several hours probably to get it all going, what they were doing. It's like, no, this is not allowed. And how about the people that are sort of sweet, drunk, but possibly disorderly? And this guy here, he's in a storage space and he's probably maybe a harmless guy. But the problem is customers don't know, and they think, this guy is staying in there. He's not just visiting his stuff or taking things in and out. You can tell, looks like he's got a chest of drawers there and he's living out of that space. So it's kind of sad. And remember, thieves get into storage properties also and hang out because they are looking to see what other people have. So be careful about that, because the people that steal from other people's spaces, generally, a lot of times they have their own space at the same storage property that they're taking from. The other thing is, this fire here happened from a man trying to live in a storage space. And I just think it's not a good idea. And I know you may have the biggest heart and say, I feel sorry for them. I don't know where they would go if the people didn't have this place to live. But not only have people hurt themselves or killed themselves in situations where the heater has caught something on fire, but it devastates the storage property, especially when it goes from space to space to space. So try to fix this before it gets to be really bad. And also watch for danger signs of other things, because I noticed in this particular case, there's something weird coming out of there. And when you're out looking around the property, you never know what's in there and what's going on unless you really keep a close eye and find out what's going on. And things like this can happen where people actually, they put the boxes in front there so they don't look like you can actually, maybe if you were looking from the outside, you wouldn't tell that they were actually in it. But guess what? We actually know that they are there, and they can figure that out when the lock's off, and we open it up. Some people have locked it, figured out how to lock it from the inside too, but they still don't have the lock on looking properly on the outside. But remember, you can control access, and you do have the right to inspect based on your contract. And the other thing you can do is you could say, okay, we'll walk down there with you. You get the stuff out, you lock it back up, and we'll escort you back up to the front. And you do have the right to enter and inspect if you think that there's, smell of marijuana, or I've had all of these, uh, a drug lab. I've had a drug lab before. So things like that will set off bells for me. And I'm like, uh-oh, something's up here. We're going to go in there. And sometimes I've done a sneak and peek and go over we've got a webinar on that too. So look up my sneak and peek. But I figured out how to, stick a camera underneath the door, look over. Sometimes you have a lot of ways to look and see what's going on. But owner does have the right to enter and inspect. The occupant grants the owner and the owner's agents representative of the governmental authorities. So if the police say, you have them there, I've done that before, but not limited to the police, the fire, the health, or emergency response people. And we generally give you written notice of, again, 3 days written notice if we're bringing someone in like that. And I've done that before, but normally I do a sneak and peek first. But don't tell anyone. Well, no, I don't care. So remember, here's some things that you can do to get rid of them and to terminate them. You can terminate the tenancy, and you have to look at your rental agreement and what it says. And sometimes it'll say 30 days notice, but I make it a 7-day written notice to the other party. And I've done that before, and what's happened is they just don't move. They don't want to move. So I give them a rental increase. That's what I do. So I just, and I've gone up like $500 on, and they say, why would you, do the 500? And I'm like, well, we now have to watch you every time you're at the property. We have to have people watching you. So I had this one girl in a store that I had in Hawaii, and she would undress and change her clothes in the middle of the hallway, and she would skate in on her like inline skates. So she'd skate in, and she had a little small unit, and she would change her clothes, and then she'd be right back out. And we kept having these pharmaceutical reps, because we had a lot of pharmaceutical reps at this location. So the pharmaceutical reps were so mad. They're like, why can't you get rid of this person? She's changing her clothes, and she won't even go to the bathroom and do it. She just does it right there in the hallway. And so then I walked into the property one day, and I noticed everybody up near the watching the video cameras, and I was like, hello, what's everybody doing? And so I look over there, and she's taking off her clothes, and I was like, hello, what's going on? Why? Let's get her out of here. And so I went and talked to her, because the manager said, no, I've talked to her, and she just keeps doing it and doing it. And he's a guy, so I thought, well, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to see what it's coming from a moment. So I went and I said, hey, I'm the managing person at this property, and I can't have you doing this. And she said, well, I just come and I change really quick, and it's not hurting anyone. I said, yes, absolutely. The other customers are complaining about it, so we don't want you to have to do that. So she said, well, I said, and if you do it again, I'm going to be calling the police. And she goes, well, you can call the police, but it's private property, and they're not going to do anything about it. And I said, okay, hold on just a minute. So I went right back up to the office, I printed out not the termination notice, but I gave her a rent increase, and it was like $300 increase, and the space was only like 30 something a month. It was just a locker size. So I went back in there. She goes, "You can't do this. It's against the law." I said, "Well, actually, I can. I have the right to do that based on the rental agreement you said." And so next month on, you'll be paying over 300. So she was very mad about that, and she said, "You can't do that." And I said, "Yeah, we can." So anyway, as it turns out, she just took all of her stuff and she, walked out and left. So I was like very happy about that. It's not always easy, is it? Not easy to get rid of people, but you have to do this for the good of everyone else and not just that one particular tenant that wants to be a bad actor in your property. And remember, I know some of you have issues. Some of my former employees that are now out other places working, they tell me, in fact, we were just talking about flirters or sexual offenders that end up being at the property. You don't always know who they are and what they look like. But remember, don't encourage people when they come up to the office and they just linger and hang out there for hours, or they talk to other customers and they kind of bug them over time. You don't want to encourage that, and you want to be very careful and notify your supervisor. It's important to do that, to let someone know that this may be a problem, because you want to fix it and get it, so they're not doing it. Yeah. This is another one I'd probably just do a rent increase on to get rid of them. Now, these two guys, they were stealing from a storage spaces. They rented there, and then they decided to start stealing from other people. Talk to your supervisor and call the local law officer, because they can help you sometimes too. They may say, "You know what, we'll keep an eye out." Or I've asked them, "Hey, I've got these two people that I'm thinking that may be stealing from other spaces. Can you look them up and see if they have prior records?" And yes, they do. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that if you want other topics, please let me know. You can reach me at carol@skillcheck.com, and please subscribe to our channel. That would be very helpful. I'm trying to get more people following me than my son has. I'm still way away from him. But if you need to contact us, our 800 number's here, and we'd love to hear from you. And thank you, and happy renting. Bye.